I'm trying to look at solutions to address the gun violence directly and not be overshadowed by a court order that is not going to be enforceable. I'm telling you that right now. It's going to waste our time. I want to make sure that we have real solutions to battle the gun violence.
So that was the sheriff of New Mexico's most populous county responding last night to the governor's controversial gun violence order, calling it unconstitutional. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham last week declared a public health emergency and announced a 30-day ban on carrying firearms, open or concealed, in public areas in Albuquerque and its county. She issued the emergency order after the shooting deaths of 3 children this summer. That includes an 11-year-old boy shot and killed outside of a minor league baseball stadium just last week, as well as mass shootings in the state. The Democratic governor's move is facing pushback from law enforcement officials and gun rights groups. At least 2 organizations have filed lawsuits arguing that it violates the Second Amendment. And over the weekend, some New Mexicans openly defied this mandate during a protest.
We all agree that the governor has overstepped her authority and is actually in violation of the law.
I don't know what her thought process was that she suddenly thought she could trample the Second Amendment.
Joining us now for her first national televised interview since issuing this order is the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham. Governor, thank you for your time this morning. And let's get to exactly that. We just heard from the sheriff. He joins the attorney general and others who say they won't enforce it. It's unconstitutional. Why do it if it can't be enforced?
Well, that's their opinion. They have no bold actions. They don't have any plans for reducing gun violence. Every single aspect in terms of preventing gun violence, funds, crime labs, more than $150 million for retention, bonuses, and recruitment of new police officers. I'm focused on one thing. We have the 3rd highest gun-related injuries in the country, 90% higher than the national average. We lost 143 children between 2017 and 2021. It is unacceptable, and it calls for immediate and swift and bold action. And frankly, the evidence bears out over and over again. Fewer guns on the streets makes everyone safer, and I'm focused on everyone's constitutional rights.
I mean, again, think about this for a minute. Man, you're not going to stop anyone at all that are out there committing crimes. You're not going to stop them with this ban. You're not going to do that. Because, again, the people that are going to obey your little ordinance, man, they're the people that are actually obeying the laws. You know, again, they're not out there committing crimes with these guns. So again, you're taking guns away from the good guys, not the bad guys. We have truly got to be honest about that. Again, you're taking guns away from the people that are actually obeying the laws, that aren't doing anything wrong. Again, we have got to truly be honest, man. Your band's not going to do a thing. Not a damn thing. Again, no criminal gets up in the morning and says, you know what? I was going to rob that liquor store down the road, but I'm not now. Because, again, I can't open carry, or I can't conceal carry my handgun. Again, it's against the law. I can't conceal carry. So guess what? I can't rob that store. Oh, geez. Yeah, that's not happening. Again, we have truly got to understand that's not happening. The people that are committing these crimes, they don't care. They don't care about the laws. They don't. Again, if they did, they wouldn't be committing crimes to begin with. We have truly got to understand that your ban on weapons, it's not going to deter them one bit. Again, if they were going to go out and rob somebody, or rob a store, or sell somebody, or do whatever, shoot somebody, again, we have truly got to understand they're still going to do it. Because again, the no carry gun ban is not going to do a thing to deter them away from doing so. So, I mean, again, this leftist logic does not work. Sorry.
Collins last night.
In a couple of months or a year down the road, we're the ones stuck in court, and we're the ones getting sued over all of these infringement of rights and all these other court battles, when I could be focusing so much more on crime.
Has any law enforcement officer in Albuquerque or the county actually enforced this yet?
Well, we haven't issued any civil penalties, but that doesn't mean that we're not and that we don't have the ability to do that.
But that's a no,
This is
right?
the pushback I get from every single, well, it's a no this minute, but that doesn't mean that we aren't, and it doesn't mean that we don't have additional police presence. And if not this bold action, making sure that you're safe going to the grocery store, you're safe going to a baseball game, you're safe walking on a hiking trail. There are individuals, including young people, where it's illegal today to have a handgun. Openly carrying handguns. My question to law enforcement is, where are you? Where are you? In that young 11-year-old, Froylin Villegas, 17 rounds were fired into that gun. 35,000 rounds are fired at least annually in Albuquerque alone. You are not safe going to work, getting your prescription drugs, or going to a public park. And it wasn't just about a cooling off period. It's about making sure that everyone is safer while we do bolder work to get at both the drug epidemic and the gun violence epidemic.
We truly got to understand the only one that's going to obey your ordinance are the people that obey the laws. That's it. Again, we truly got to recognize that, because the people, again, that break the laws and do whatever they want to do with the guns, they're not going to listen to you. Again, they don't care. They truly don't care whether or not there's a ban on concealed carry or whatever. They don't care. They truly don't care. And again, people like you, they don't quite understand that. You're like, well, if we can get rid of all guns, but you're not getting rid of all guns. You're not reducing all guns. The only guns you're reducing are the ones that the good guys have. That's it. That's all you're reducing. You're not reducing criminal guns. You're not reducing guns in the hands of criminals. You're not. But again, that's what they do. That's what their logic is. But again, I understand the cops. A lot of these cops are not going to enforce this. They're not.
John Allen. In a statement, he says, while I understand and appreciate the urgency, the temporary ban challenges the foundation of our Constitution. I am wary of placing my deputies in positions that could lead to civil liability conflicts, as well as the potential risks posed by prohibiting law-abiding citizens from their constitutional right to self-defense. APD Chief Harold Medina sent a message to his officers tonight saying they will not be enforcing the governor's order. Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller echoed that message, saying that's up to state police officers. New Mexico Republican leaders and Albuquerque City Councilor and police union leaders have also sharply criticized the governor's decision, largely calling it unconstitutional. Republican Party Chairman Steve Pierce added, the governor admitted she knew her order is unconstitutional and says her order puts citizens in a dangerous situation and is outright illegal.
For them to restrict for 30 days or 45 days or whatever it is, for them to restrict your right to have that gun on you, it's again unconstitutional. We have truly got to understand that. I mean, again, they're trying to take away your rights in effort to make people safer. And again, we truly have got to understand it's not going to make anyone safer. Again, the people that are out there doing bad things with guns that, again, make people unsafe, they're not the people that are willingly going to leave the guns at home because of your ordinance.
It's not for police to tell me what's constitutional or not. They haven't supported not one gun violence effort in the state of New Mexico, including domestic violence protections, universal background checks. And I know you want to ask me a question, so I'll take a breath, but these are NRA talking points about their rights and not about anybody else's. And it's not a ban. It's a temporary pause so that we can make this community safer.
I hear you, and I'm glad you mentioned Froylin Villegas' name. 11 years old. Also in July, you had Amber Archuleta, 13 years old, killed. You had Galilea Samigo in August. I want to mention those names because those are kids. They're kids who shouldn't be shot.
It's
But
disgusting.
we also have, Governor,
They're
the
out-
Constitution of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, look, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I had the right. I have the
But
right.
where is the right? Where is the
in
right?
the state of New Mexico? Public health, it's a suspension. It's not a ban. And we'll see what all of these court actions do. And I did say publicly, Poppy,
Yeah.
look, I got a Supreme Court that says my personal bodily autonomy can be restricted, and yet NRA and other issues, the Second Amendment keeps getting broadened. So the Bruin case in New York, right,
Yep.
that deals with concealed carry,
Right.
and cases in Texas
and that's
that say
actually,
you can
Governor,
be
what
a
I'm talking
drug.
about. You bring up the Bruin case. The
But I
Supreme
don't
Court
know.
last
This
year.
quest-
Let me
but
just
it-
ask you this, because the Supreme Court last
Yeah,
year
sure.
totally changed what we're allowed to do, what you're allowed to do. And they said unless you can base it in the history and tradition, you don't have grounds to do something like this.
Guys, I'm going to cut in real quick and show you a clip from Nate the Lawyer. And Nate the Lawyer is a YouTube content creator. And he's going to explain this better than what I can.
On par with. So that's what this ruling is saying, that you have a right to carry your firearm in public, concealed or open. You have that constitutional right. Now, for the government to infringe on that right, it has to show that it can survive what's known as strict scrutiny. Now, strict scrutiny is a two-part test that the courts use whenever the government passes a law or some type of regulation that infringes on one of your constitutional rights. And in this particular part, we're talking about your Second Amendment right to have a concealed carry permit or an open carry permit in the state of New Mexico. So under strict scrutiny, there are two prongs that the government has to overcome. First, the law or regulation must be narrowly tailored to further what's known as a compelling government interest. Now, in the past, some of those compelling government interests have been found to be public health, like during the pandemic, war and national security, diversity in higher education, and remedying past discrimination. So these have been some things that the courts have found have been compelling enough that the government can restrict your constitutional rights for a limited time. And again, they have to be narrowly tailored, not to be overly broad to affect everyone, but just to remedy the thing that you find to be the problem. So now we're going to hear the governor herself explain how this executive order banning all concealed carry permits in the state of New Mexico, essentially in a couple of places, how it, number one, is narrowly tailored, not to be overly broad, and two, how it's serving a compelling government interest. And she believes that this executive order will pass constitutional muster. So let her explain it.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham says gun violence in New Mexico is a problem.
Gun deaths were the leading cause of death for children 1 to 19 in New Mexico. From 2017 to 2021, 143 children were killed by guns. 49% of those were homicides.
It's stats like those that led Governor Lujan Grisham to put in place a public health order centered around gun violence. It asks that no person other than officers shall possess guns at public schools or parks, and that while transporting guns, they must be in a locked container or have a trigger lock. The governor also laying out how the order will affect our state's open carry law.
So effective immediately, no person other than a law enforcement officer or licensed security officer shall possess a firearm, either openly or concealed, within cities or counties, averaging 1,000 or more violent crimes per 100,000, and more than 90 firearm-related emergency department visits.
Guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video right here. But again, we truly have got to recognize, man, that number one, who's going to enforce this? Because again, the cops are saying they're not going to. They're not going to because, again, it violates people's constitutional rights. So again, they're not going to enforce it. And again, will this be something that she can win? I don't think so. And again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not saying I am. But again, I don't believe she's going to. I don't. Man, again, there are far more experts, man, they're saying that she's not going to. Again, we truly get to recognize, man, there are far more areas in this country that have worse crime than what she has there. But again, they're not restricting the rights of people. So we have truly got to understand, and again, the people that are going to obey the ordinance, they are going to be the ones that obey the law. We have got to recognize that, man. Again, the criminals, they're not going to leave their guns at home. They're going to take them with them. They don't care about the law. We have truly got to understand that the criminals don't care. But again, right now what's going on in this country is what they're doing is they're going after you. They're going after your rights. They aren't going after the criminals. We have truly got to understand, man, again, so many areas in this country where they have no bail. Again, they give you a slap on the wrist for committing certain crimes. Again, you're out in a couple hours. With no bail, we truly have got to understand that. Again, they're going after you, not them. And again, man, it's scary. It truly is. But we got to wake up, man. People have got to start waking up. But hey, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. You son of a.